Hey there, we're the West Lot Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Scousbo.
Thanks for bearing with us as we took a week off last week, kind of catching our breath at the end of football's regular season. Obviously,
we got really lucky too because nothing much happened while we were off. It's a real sleepy stretch.
Quiet.
Real quiet.
Couple weeks.
Big Ten championship happened. We got bowls, to talk about. We've got the playoffs to talk. We actually have a Big Ten bowl game that's complete. It's done. That's wild to me. They just started the LA Bowl right away, and Washington just thumped on Boise in a big way. Congratulations to them getting the Big Ten schedule off to a start. But we do need to start off with Northwestern's bowl game. As that Sunday after the conference championships happened, and we were kind of reading the tea leaves, kind of seeing what the chatter was, seeing where things might be going. It kind of seemed more and more likely that we weren't going to get the bump into like the Arizona Bowl that Minnesota ended up getting, and that we were going to be looking at the game in Detroit. And here we are at the GameAbove Sports Bowl. If anyone can tell me what GameAbove is, I'm waiting.
I'm sure we'll all learn.
Probably with one of their bajillion ads. But we're playing Central Michigan. Obviously not the most marquee of matchups, but one that I think kind of does favor the Cats in a lot of ways. I mean, looking at the spread right now, we're 10.5-point favorites. All the numbers seem to definitely point in our direction.
It favors us in every way. I mean, I feel like there's something that's going to kind of encompass a lot of the topics we're going to hit in this pod, at least the ones that relate to Northwestern. But there's kind of like this almost general sense of malaise just out there right now, where it's like Northwestern sport needs a pop right now, right? Like whether that be like earning a really big, like thumping CMU, or hoops picking up a major Big Ten win, or us landing a big recruit or something, but just some kind of pop, because right now there's just kind of that general like and this bowl game factors in. I mean, we're all super happy we're bowling. Like, it's a big accomplishment for this team relative to preseason expectations, or national preseason expectations.
Absolutely, yeah.
At the same time, again, like this CMU being our opponent has a way of throwing into sharp relief. Just like, you can just look and be like, the talent difference in between these two teams is just monstrous. And it really is like, you look and you're like this is a team that like has Robert Fitzgerald and Mac Uline and this crazy offensive line, and hopefully, knock wood, like Caleb Komalafe like running behind it, right? And across the field is this CMU team that, I mean, they got obliterated by Michigan, 63-3. They played one other really kind of marquee non-conference game, Pitt. They got obliterated in that game too.
Did Michigan score 63 points the rest of the year?
I mean, and this is a team that I was actually looking, entering their last game of the season, because the MAC was kind of everyone beat up on everyone this year. It's possible, and I didn't know all the intricacies of the rule, but had Central Michigan won in their final game against Toledo, they would have been in a three-way tie for one of the two spots in the MAC title game. I don't know what the tiebreakers would be. They didn't play either of the other two teams they would have been up against, but theoretically it was in play. But that's all just preamble to say then Central Michigan scored 3 points against Toledo. It's just, right, that 10.5 points ain't coming out of nowhere. And it just kind of, I feel like it just factors into this thing where Northwestern fans are just kind of like, like, we're happy we're in a bowl, it's good, but this isn't the matchup that we're looking for, and it kind of is just this, it's this little, like, this kind of just bleh that's hanging out there right now.
It's funny because I actually think that's indicative much more broadly across college football right
absolutely.
now. And
certainly relative to the bowls.
some of that is the bowls, and the advent of the playoff has taken a lot away from the bowls in terms of spotlight, et cetera. There's, we've started, a couple of years ago, this trend of players with NFL aspirations, opting out of bowl games. Obviously, there's the transfer portal. There's the insane coaching carousel that is still spinning.
Which we'll get to in a sec.
Yeah, but there's also, people are making a lot about Notre Dame opting out after being excluded from the playoff, but Iowa State has opted out, and that was before Matt Campbell left their program. Kansas State has opted out. Florida State, Auburn, UCF, Baylor, Rutgers, Kansas, Temple have all declined bowl bids. Now, many of those teams were 5 and 7, but still.
Did you mention Notre Dame?
I did. That's why I started there.
Yeah.
But the broader point is that, like, in some ways, it doesn't mean what it used to mean. I'm juxtaposing this very much against 2003, which is the first time we went to what was then the Motor City Bowl, this bowl in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Sam, you and I drove over from Chicago.
We sure did, yeah.
Very early in the morning. We lost a close game to a Bowling Green team that had, up until the beginning of that season, been coached by Urban Meyer the prior 2 years. And, at that time, people weren't super thrilled about Detroit, but it was also, it was novel. That was, it was
a bowl game.
It was the fourth bowl Northwestern had ever been to. So I can understand some of the malaise. At the same time, I think this is just the nature of the college football postseason now, where we're all trying to figure out what the playoff and NIL, not even NIL, what the playoff and transfer portal and the insane dollars and the insane calendar of college football that is causing all these coaching changes to happen now because of the recruiting cycle, et cetera. Like, what does that mean for the postseason of this sport? And is the playoff the only thing that matters? And how much does it actually matter, given what you saw Lane Kiffin do, leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU? Yeah. So on one hand, I guess where I'm going is there's a little bit of a malaise, but I don't think that the Northwestern fan base is any more whatever than the average college football fan right now, as it pertains to the traditional bowl season.
Well, and two, and we've made this point before, on the pod, and we've made it relative to this year too, which is you can also just draw a complete line from the way Northwestern fans think about bowls. It's you're right that there was that novelty back in 2003, but Northwestern, relative to the average football program pre or post NIL, Northwestern has just so much more stability. There are so many guys on this team who've played together for so long.
Count up our transfer portal activity to date to that exact point.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's one in, one out right now, as far as we know, and two offensive tackles. And it's so it was always going to be this was always going to matter a lot to the team. There's no way Northwestern's opting out of bowls. It's a huge deal for our guys. It's brotherhood for them. It's coming together, obviously looking to put a capper on this season. And again, there is the possibility. And it's it's so strange to be in this position as a Northwestern football fan, to be going to a bowl and being the expectations kind of that we should put it on this team. They're when you actually look it up, CMU, that's the number 8 total defense in the MAC. And then think of our offensive line and the way we can run the ball with Caleb Komalafe. That's just your starting point, to say nothing of our defense and everything else. It's just there is a scenario where we go out and thump this team, and that is the aforementioned feel good moment that we're all kind of looking for right now. But then on the other point, just like Scuzz was saying, it's almost it's not. Some people would say you get the obvious thing of the teams opting out of the bowls, but then so much oxygen's being sucked out of the room by the coaching carousel and all this stuff just starting immediately.
I mean,
right, like,
you want to talk oxygen sucked out of the room. We'll talk about the playoff here in a little bit, just all the whinging about the number 9, 10, 11 teams going in. But sorry, not to distract.
Right, but it's like we already know there are multiple high-profile quarterbacks that are already in the portal just from this conference. And then the coaches
I was going to say from bowl teams in this conference, but I forgot Rayola is injured, so he's not playing anyway.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, but it's like all that stuff is competing for space, and obviously this particular year, as Northwestern fans, part of that equation is Fitz at Michigan State, which again, like, is this whole complicated thing to hang over the entire period we are at in Northwestern sports right now, and it's like you add it all together, and everyone's just kind of like. Yeah, like it's just
So I mean I will offer a counterpoint as a this Northwestern fan. I could not give two shits about what Fitz is doing or where he's coaching. That has absolutely nothing to do with how I'm going to enjoy and take in this bowl game on the 26th. For sure. Just for my own. Like I hear you, and I know that there are people that have been affected by it. We've heard from people who are buying Michigan State stuff and changing their allegiance. Like whatever. People can go do stupid stuff if they want. I do not care about that. What I do want to say, and what I do want to shift kind of emphasis to, and John, you started talking about, like, this is really important for the team. This was like when we looked at the season, at the schedule, at the front of the year, at what we were coming off of last year, and this was with the expectation of Preston Stone really stepping up things for our offense and things going in a meaningfully different direction than we saw in 2023 offensively. Our calculus and our map was like, man, 6-6 looks like the high watermark, and bowl eligibility should be capital the goal, period, for this year, for this team. That is what, as fans, we should be hoping for and gunning for. And I think it's a real awesome achievement. Like, yeah, it's easy to scoff at Detroit and Motor City and all that other sort of stuff. For anyone who's new to this world, like, getting jumped over by other Big Ten teams that we beat head to head in bowl pecking order is like a well-worn Northwestern tradition.
Nothing new.
Man.
Yeah, this is just how it goes, y'all.
We haven't even got to the all-conference teams yet.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it goes. So I just think, like,
but I mean, just to play devil's advocate, would you be more excited to go to New York City and play Clemson at Yankee Stadium?
Oh,
I wouldn't. No, I'm going to be watching this game from my couch either way, with my kids. And yeah, sure, it would be exciting to have maybe a different matchup, etc. I'm taking the matchup out of it.
Sure.
And in large part because so much changes with rosters and composition and motivation, and it's very hard to peg what's going to happen in these bowl games at this stage. And they are really exhibitions, but for me, it's much more about the achievement. And I absolutely wish it was somewhere warm and somewhere sunny, both for the players and their families and for the potential fan base that would show up. I certainly wish that, but I like
it is indoors. Ford Field is it's a nice place to watch a game. But
it's Detroit, and it's
sure, Detroit, whatever. Detroit sucks. That's all well and good, but I just was taking a gander at some of the secondhand tickets just out there. I don't think they're selling anything above the 100 level. I don't think there are any 200 or 300 level tickets available for this game.
Sam, I'm pretty sure you and I bought tickets in the parking lot when we got there in 03.
We did.
So.
We absolutely did.
It's fortunate for that bowl that our most recent point of reference is that Illinois game where they were just basically ushering people into the stadium.
Don't sit over there.
Yeah.
We're going to go for a Cincinnati Bengals look on the camera side of our stadium.
Yeah, right.
It's funny, Scuzz, everything that you said is true, relative, and it bears mentioning, and I know a lot of Northwestern fans will roll their eyes at this, but it does matter in the terms of the national landscape and the way that kicks down to the way David Braun is viewed and the way that potentially affects recruiting, affects everything. As far as the outside nation is concerned that generally does not care much about Northwestern sports, this was a really solid season for Northwestern, and David Braun overachieved. That's to the extent that the nation has noticed, that's their takeaway.
Yeah. That's what matters.
Well, at the same time, you could be like, What if I told you we were going to start this season 5-2 with a win over Penn State, and then we were going to bowl by hook or by crook? And I could even tell you we're going to start 5-2, and then you know what? The second half is going to be rough, just like we thought it was going to be at the start of the season. But you know what? We are going to beat. It's like if I was said 5-2, and I was going to we're going to get you one of the last 5. Guess which one? We'd all have been like Minnesota, and be like, "Yep, that's the one." That's all true, and those things are all true. Every Northwestern fan also knows that Purdue game was 2 months ago, and it has been a hellacious run since that. It's been a rough 2 months, boy. It is the 4 losses. With some distance, I was just kind of thinking about it, and I was like, man, those were 4 awful losses. Boy, oh boy. They were really bad. 3 just brutal close losses that Northwestern could have won each of those games. And then the USC game, of course, got away from us. But it's like, not like everyone can't remember moments from that game that were absolutely nightmarish.
But we mapped out exactly what you just said. We mapped it out in mid-August.
And that's the thing.
It doesn't make it feel better looking back at the last 4 losses. Right. But guys, what did you expect?
No, I know. And that's the thing. I'm like, you know what? They bowled. They got over the finish line. I'm just like, I think every Northwestern fan, it's like part of the thing is like, you did take a lot of punches over the past 2 months, like we all did. You took some real haymakers, and you're feeling it now. But you're right. We're bowling. We're in. We are favored big. Maybe we go out and smoke this team, and that's the capper to the season. That would be awesome.
For sure. Definitely. And just to put a nice kind of bow on the end of this season for the guys, right? They went through thick and thin, and everything that this team has gone through, especially the seniors. Yep. To be able to finish the season, one more ride, right? One more time through the tunnel with their brothers, going out there on the field, playing the team across the field from them. We can't control who that is. We can't control where it is. It's inside, it's indoors, so it's not going to be cold in the stadium. It's the day after Christmas, so. Cuddle up with, the tree still up, all the wrapping paper is still all over the floor. Try not to step on the toys that are sure to be scattered around everywhere. And 11 a.m. or was it 12 o'clock? Yeah, 12 o'clock Central kick.
1 Eastern.
Yeah. 1 Eastern, yeah. So it's like noon kick for everyone who's got that day off. Just sit back, watch the team in purple, and let's finish off the year with a winning record, which like you guys were saying was not expected by anyone going into the season, and that's really great, and to put the end cap on the season with a win, to start to look ahead to next season with whatever happens. With this palace of a stadium that every time they're talking about how incredible it's going to be, I just get more and more excited, and my wallet gets more and more scared.
You're right though. We're all well aware of the fact that this team's record could definitely be better than it is right now. But if we do get an emphatic bowl win, you are right. All of a sudden, a couple months from now, or once we get into the summer and that thing is nearing completion, 7-6 and 2 winning seasons for David Braun in 3 years is going to shine up like a new penny with that building opened.
Wait, they still make pennies?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, Sam. You're right, Sam. You're right, Sam. The penny and the new Ryan Field will not coexist in the same universe. But you're right.
I think it's important to add on though. This is not the standard. No. This is not the Don't hear us talking about this oh yeah, we did it, sweet.
Right.
Hang them up, boys. If you listened to our USC pod, our Michigan pod, our Illinois pod,
folks, we had to pod after all those.
we have higher expectations and higher aspirations for this team. Listen to the way we talked about our offensive coordinator and what we think should happen in the last 2 weeks of the season. Like
nothing has happened on that front yet, but
no, it hasn't. But the broader point is like you can enjoy a bowl game in Detroit against Central Michigan because your team is playing after Christmas. It's a privilege to it. You can enjoy that and still expect and demand that this team continue to improve and build on what they're doing. That is like both things can be true.
Right. I think to in a nature of pivoting to where I think we're going to be going shortly, like there is no danger of complacency from this Northwestern football team in this bowl game, particularly when it comes to the interior of the lines on both sides of the football. I think this is going to be a pissed off group of guys.
If they're not really angry, somebody has missed a golden opportunity.
Right.
Yeah. So I believe you're talking about the all conference teams.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to see a lot of purple on that list, which was kind of surprising on all fronts. But go ahead, John.
Let me give you a primer, not even involving the all-conference teams, but involving the All-America teams, the AP All-America team, which came out today. The AP All-America first-team defense has a safety from the Big Ten whose last name is Fitzgerald, starting on that team. And it's not Robert Fitzgerald. It's Bishop Fitzgerald, who from USC, who had 17 less total tackles than Robert Fitzgerald had solo tackles, and had less than half as many cumulative tackles as Robert Fitzgerald did this season. That's just to prime the pump for how this is going to go when we look at the actual conference teams here.
So let's get into that because we'll come back next week. We'll actually kind of get into the preview of this game. We'll take a look at some Central Michigan tape and kind of try to get a sense of what we're looking at. That'll be next week. But let's talk about the all conference teams. You had no Northwestern first team on either end of the ball, either coaches or media.
Again, keeping in mind, there is no universe in which Robert Fitzgerald is not one of the two best safeties in this conference this season. It's not a thing.
And they put 5 defensive backs. They rated 5 defensive backs on both the coaches and the media. So I mean there's room for everyone. But as we said, Robert Fitzgerald second team by the coaches, second team by the media. Third team by the media. My apologies. You've got
Mac
Uline, third team on both ends. Caleb Tiernan, second team tackle by the coaches. What was he?
And honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable mention by the media. Thanks, media. Cool.
Yep. That's the biggest pro prospect on one of the 5 best offensive lines in the Big Ten. Honorable mention.
Yeah. Griffin Wilde got third team by the coaches at wide receiver. Honorable mention by the media. What else? What am I missing? That's it.
That's it for first, second, third team. And many guys got honorable mentions, but.
Yeah. Like Josh Fussell, Michael Kilbane, Jack Olson, Luke Akers both got special teams honorable mention. Komalafe, Tiernan, Berenson, Wilde, Welsing were on offensive honorable mention by the media. You've got Akers and Olson were honorable mention by the media. Saka, Turner, Bastone, Fussell, Kilbane, defensive honorable mention by the media. I mean, the names you would expect to see. I think all of us expected to see him a little bit higher up.
I mean, Bastone, that's awesome. I mean, again, obviously, like some kind of all Big Ten recognition is very important for him, our 2-time captain. and one of the great walk-on success stories. But I think the single one that pissed Northwestern fans off the most, just I'm still shocked by it now, is nothing for Jackson Carcello. No honorable mention from either the coaches or the media. This is a top 10 center in the country by every metric. Most higher. I was looking at what a PWFN had him as the 7th highest graded center in the whole nation, regardless of conferences. No honorable mention on either side of the ball. Berenstain, who I think PWFN had him as the top graded guard in the nation, and he gets honorable mentions. But as a whole, everyone, like, this offensive line graded out. The only offensive lines that graded out higher: Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, and Indiana, I think. And this, I mean, so it's like this unit, and then again, like, to basically take no all conference honors except for a single second team from Tiernan. It's annoying. And again, you mentioned off the top, or Sam or Scuzz, like, Northwestern fan, look, we're used to this dance, but you fold it into this general, like, that everyone Northwestern fans feeling right now, and it's like, right, a ton of these dudes deserved more than what they got.
I'm as you were talking, I was just kind of digging through the list of folks, and Indiana got 2 guys recognized, one first team, one second team. This is by the media, I might add. The media really, like, what? The media not covering themselves in glory here. So Indiana had 2. Iowa had 4.
Right.
4 guys recognized by the media. Ohio State, 5 members of the Ohio State offensive line recognized by the media.
Right.
And, like, that Ohio State line was good, but, like, come on, y'all.
It's like, I mean, and it's just like, this isn't the Stone Age with offensive line anymore. Like, there's so much data. There are sites that are just tracking it and just, like, looking at all these guys individually. That's why we were so happy with Carcello early on in the season, because we're like, oh, like, our eyes every week are telling us that this guy's destroying people, and it's thank God that there are metrics now to capture this so that people, but it didn't translate over. But again, it's like, this is, you have a group of guys, and Big Mo Radakai, like, he got, I think, honorable mention from either the media or the coaches, and that's awesome. That's a young player. He's still, I think, a redshirt freshman right now.
Yeah, right. Not the media.
But not the media. And again, like, working as a unit, this was one of the best Northwestern offensive lines ever, and I guarantee that they are pissed off right now. I guarantee. I think Harris Horowitz had a story, in the run up to the goal to the game on Inside NU, talking about how, like, Caleb Tiernan is, like, demanding extra reps in practices and things like that, and, like, I think these guys are pissed. And I think Central Michigan's in the wrong place at the wrong time. We'll get into it more next week, but yeah, I mean, and it's great that they've got so much of a stoked fire, but at the same time, that there's no honoring for Carcello, and that Fitzgerald's numbers, I mean, it's like, again, keep in mind when I mentioned that All-America thing, Fitzgerald's no All-America, not first team, not second team, not third team. And there's a guy with the same last name from USC on the first team who picked off 5 balls. That's great. Fitzgerald picked off 1, also recovered a fumble, and doubled this guy up in tackles. So you better think those other 3 picks were the greatest picks in the history of the earth. But I mean, we know it's because one guy's got a USC jersey on. It is what it is. But it's going to stoke these guys. There's no doubt about it.
Shall we discuss kind of the other goings on around the conference in football?
What are you referring to?
Sure. Maybe should we like go through bowls to kind of like tee some of this stuff up?
That should be a good kind of kicking off point for some of the other discussions we're going to have. I mentioned that we already had one bowl game. Washington beats Boise State 38-10 in the booked up LA Bowl. Why isn't Jimmy Kimmel the name on that anymore? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I'm not worried about it. Something notable about this game. So I mean, we'll get to Michigan in more detail in a few minutes, but Jed Fish, current head coach of Washington, like his name comes up in every coaching search, and it's probably in large part because he's coached all over the map. I mean, when we previewed Michigan before this, I mean, he's been with like 12 different NFL teams. He was at Arizona, he was at Washington, he was at Michigan. Like he's just, the dude has been absolutely over. His ties to everybody. It's probably why he comes up so often. He was a big part of Jim Harbaugh's staff at Michigan a couple of years ago. Maybe that's a little too close for comfort right now, given everything that's befallen the University of Michigan over the past handful of years. But there is a non-zero chance that he's not with Washington when we suit up for 2026. But we'll see.
We do have a one game in the opening round of the playoff. You've got
this is this insane schedule thing. You're listing off the Big Ten bowls. This is the second one that we get to.
Yeah.
Why don't we? Well, okay.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say we should save the playoff for the end.
Okay, we'll save the playoff for the end. We'll talk about this Saturday's game in a little bit. Moving ahead, we talked about our game on Friday, December 26th.
Which we'll preview in more detail next week.
Exactly. Later on, right after our game, we get the Rate Bowl in Chase Field in Phoenix, New Mexico, Minnesota. Minnesota is a 2.5-point favorite. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more. Anything happen with Minnesota these past couple of weeks? Not really.
They've lost a couple.
They took Phoenix, Arizona from us. That's like the main thing.
Well, they've lost a couple of high profile, not like guys think down their roster to transfer. But I think what's more interesting about this particular bowl matchup is that they are up against one of the interestingly hottest coaching names in college football who did not move this offseason, in Jason Eck, a guy that everybody is tabbing as like a really awesome, right? Yes, a really and a guy with Wisconsin ties who maybe is waiting for Wisconsin to come back open. This is 10
pretty years once they finally decide to make a move.
Yeah, this is a pretty from that lens, especially Minnesota versus Wisconsin, et cetera. You got to think that Jason Eck has got some personal some personal pride riding on this, and it's going to make for a pretty interesting matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny too when you talk about him. I always think about PJ Fleck from the perspective of it's a good dose of perspective to be able to look outside and be like, if you want to know how people from the outside are looking at someone like David Braun, think of how we would think about a PJ Fleck, because I look at that guy and I'm like, why isn't his name being thrown out for the Michigan job? The guy's been in Minnesota forever and he wins. He wins at Minnesota where it's hard to win. And he doesn't win boatloads of games, but he wins. He gets bowl eligible pretty much every year. He's from, he came over from Western Michigan. We all remember that game, the Corey Davis game. So it's interesting because I'm just like, Fleck, he's out there, and maybe Minnesota is just his destiny, and he's just going to be there for a while. But that's a guy like if suddenly Michigan hired him, it wouldn't be out of the blue. You'd be like, oh yeah, well hey, he was at Minnesota for a long time and he won there, So, but it's interesting.
I don't think he's won enough. I think that's the problem. Yeah, he hasn't won enough there.
Not for
Michigan. Maybe he's the rare guy who is properly rated right now. Maybe TJ Fleck is exactly where he's supposed to be.
Well, and I also think there's a big when you ask the average national fan about PJ Fleck, I think that what they're going to remember is PJ Fleck of 8 years ago, which was row the boat and I eat challenges for breakfast or whatever. He was kind of an insane person, and I think a lot
kind of is,
but a lot of that is much more muted now, and I think you get a lot more of just fired up, jacked up football coach now, as opposed to this person that's saying insane things that you can't kind of wrap your head around. Or we've all just gotten used to him, and the rest of the world has gotten 8 degrees crazier, which is quite plausible.
Little column A, little column B, probably. So the following day, 11 o'clock Central on ABC, you've got Saturday, December 27th, Penn State Clemson at the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl in Yankee Stadium.
They should call this like the bowl of disappointed expectations or something.
This is all. I mean, to me, this is all a vehicle for. Can we get a Zoran Mandami, Dabo Sweeney photograph? Is that something that we can generate? Is that something we can generate?
Jesus,
that would be worth it just in and of itself. I wanna believe that's gonna happen. Dabo Sweeney going to New York City, trying to wrap my head around that is hysterical in and of itself. But obviously, like, it's all like everything with Clemson in this. It's all just a backseat to everything that's going on with Penn State, and everything with going on with Penn State, like the coach who won't be coaching in this game is the centerpiece of the game. Like, they're probably going to have him in the stadium, and they're probably going to interview him extensively.
Yeah. So after
a
all,
little something about that.
Yeah, I was about to say he'll get the full Brian Harsin treatment.
Yeah. well. Unlike Brian Harsin, this is a hire that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Talk about pulling your arm out of the fire. Yeah.
So for anybody who's interested, the Solid Verbal posted a podcast, I think on Sunday, this past Sunday, and it was Ty Hildenbrandt interviewing Matt Fortuna, and it was really good. And Matt Fortuna had just a lot of like insider details on some of the things that have been going on, particularly at Penn State, and talked about how Penn State did not hire a search firm to execute this coaching search. And the sort of thing where, like, context of context, the AD thought he, had a contact who knew Matt Campbell, who told him Matt wasn't interested. And so, this is the genesis of that, like, had the wrong contact information comment, because then later somebody else who knew them both was like, hey, you should call Matt. I think Matt would be interested. And what's crazy is that they've landed Matt Campbell from Iowa State, who I feel like
it's a huge hire.
His name has come up for so many big jobs over the past 10 years. I can't, it's wild that this is the one that finally hits. And a big part of it is his parents are in is it Youngstown, Ohio? But basically this gets him closer to home, closer to his parents. I think they're older. They have some health situations, et cetera. This was all kind of published in the lead up to this announcement. But this is a home run hire after a Three Stooges type coaching search. And it's the fact that they've fallen into this. And they're keeping Terry Smith on the staff, the current interim coach, who everyone absolutely loves, who just bleeds Penn State everything, and has been a real bright spot over kind of the back half of the season, kind of leading that team, et cetera. This is they kind of couldn't be coming out any better. But besides the fact that they signed like a 2-person recruiting class a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing. It's
beyond
like the
that.
timing. Yeah, it's funny too, because obviously when we talk about Michigan, there was this whole error, like reassessing the Penn State situation of being like, were there any agents holding coaches out because they thought the Michigan? And then when we found out all the details, it seems like just about all the agents were aware of exactly what the situation was at Michigan, but it's not like any of them had any idea of what the timeline of that situation was going to be, or if there was any timeline. No one had any idea. Everyone knew what was going on, but no one had any idea how that would play out. So I don't think it's not like Penn State was losing out on candidates because those candidates were waiting for the Michigan job to come open. I just don't think that was a thing. But yeah, Campbell it's a massive save. If they would have just hired him, the day after, it would have been great. I mean, it's definitely going forward. That'll be good. The other thing to mention, and I'm blanking on where he went, but Jim Knowles is out. He signed, I think, a 3-year deal with someone in the SEC. Oh gosh, I should look it up. I'll check back as we're going. But
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Oh, there you go. Well, the interest of that'll make a tidy pivot. But
I believe that's called from the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah.
So speaking of Tennessee, on Tuesday, December 30th.
Wait. Do we get to talk at all about how Penn State's going to beat the ever-loving crap out of Clemson, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it?
It's amazing because Clemson is favored in this game.
Really?
And I don't
Yeah, Clemson's the 3.5-point favorite here.
I mean, I guess if you just look at the quarterbacks, like maybe that makes sense. But like that Penn State defense in New York, like Clemson doesn't play in cold weather.
I don't. Yeah, I think Penn State's D is going to be up for this game. I mean, with all due respect, Penn State's defensive guys, with what they dealt with this season, and like the losses Penn State took are some of the most brutal losses a team can possibly take, and they never rolled over, and they were still playing hard all the way to the end. And I think they're going to want this one.
Well, I think the Terry Smith piece is a big deal. So these guys get to go out and play for a beloved coach, and not in a win one for the Gipper kind of way, but in a like not like I think it is silly to think that this Penn State team, the players, are going to play in a certain way because of Matt Campbell. I don't think that is likely. I do think it is likely they will play in a kind of way for Terry Smith, much like Notre Dame did for Marcus Freeman, much like LSU or was it USC and Orgeron? There's been a lot of these cases where an interim coach, a beloved interim coach, desired by the players, has elicited the kind of unexpected bowl performance in the past, and I think this is a prime case for it.
Especially knowing that he's going to still be there.
That's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is not like he's on his way out the door and this is one last chance. This is like, oh, sweet. We get to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah. So, again, speaking of Jim Knowles, speaking of Tennessee, you look at the Music City Bowl coming up on December 30th. Tennessee and Illinois at Nissan Stadium. Tennessee, a 2.5-point favorite. You know what? I'm glad we're not there, because the idea of playing Tennessee in Nashville, hard pass.
So hard pass on that, and then I just thought about all the orange in this game and went cross-eyed.
It's funny though, because
as a Bronco fan, I like orange, but not the Tennessee orange and not the Illinois orange.
Well,
different oranges.
This is funny though, because I think if we win that Nebraska game, or we win that Michigan game, or especially if we win that Illinois game, this is probably us. And this would be the other door. This is what door number 2 would look like. And I know for a lot of people, it's the superior door. Playing a true road game against Tennessee, not accepted, we would be a dog by probably some single-digit amount of points. Playing a big-time SEC team, a team we have bowl history with.
Yeah, we've seen that Tennessee a lot.
Bad bowl history.
Bad bowl history. And again, that's the other option, right? I mean, like this, if you're thinking hypothetically, it's like realistically, what would the better alternative be? It would probably be this. I mean, it is what it is. And we've been in that position before, and we know, Northwestern has showed out in situations like that before. But, showed
out, but rarely won.
Yeah, right. Well, rared out, and the games are tight white knucklers, and I'm furiously knocking wood because I'm not trying to just furiously jinx us for this game. But it's an interesting perspective. It's why it's so strange for us to be favored by so many points in our bowl game, because this is usually the kind of road that we end up going down when we bowl. But I mean, from the Illinois perspective, Altmaier's last game, he gets a big team to play in his last game, and Illinois, they were ranked almost the whole season, and it didn't quite go the way they wanted it to, but this would be a big way to end.
I mean, they should be able to operate their offense against Tennessee, and that should make this a pretty fun game.
Yeah.
Later on that evening, you've got the Alamo Bowl with USC and TCU. The Alamo Bowl is not a Big Ten bowl right now, but still has the Pac-12 bowl tie-ins. So, although I have a funny feeling that as we move forward, like conference tie-ins to bowls are going by the wayside.
They're already pretty much gone. So I haven't seen any lines on any of these games. I assume this is a pretty big mismatch in favor of USC.
So you would think that.
It's 4.5.
4.5.
Guys. I know. I'm like, how does USC not score a boatload of points in this game? TCU's 8-4. Yeah,
Interesting.
I guess
Texas
the fact that
pride, maybe.
It's in Texas,
But I mean,
I don't see how that's going to keep Maeva from just eviscerating
Yeah.
this team.
yeah, unless USC has some opt outs or
and Maeva's not. He's not draft eligible, is he? He's too young for that, right?
what about Makai Lemon though?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, and they're wide receivers and everything. We all saw. Like they're awesome. It's funny the over under for Illinois Tennessee is higher than the over under for USC TCU.
That's
and I don't
wild.
Know.
That is wild to me.
I don't know how they don't think USC scoring boatloads of points here just because they're going to Texas. I don't think so.
New Year's Eve, you've got the ReliaQuest Bowl featuring Iowa and Diego Pavia, who, if he's calmed down a little bit,
we gotta let's cool him down. We gotta make sure Diego makes it to the field for this one.
Oh my God,
yeah,
Diego
so
Pavia, my
Iowa
short
Vanderbilt.
king. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go, Vandy.
Vandy is a 5.5 point favorite in Tampa here against Iowa.
Hell
it
yeah.
is. It is funny because that guy is a flurry of bad decisions. But I mean, it's all because in his mind, he's like, I should have won the Heisman and all other things secondary. And everyone's like, yeah, but Grace undefeated and you lost a really good guy at a really good season. I don't care. I'm the best. It's just me. Someone asked him, what did he say? They asked him some question like, who do you like more, like Lamar Jackson or somebody else? And he was like, me, neither. And he didn't really understand the question at first. And he was like, are you asking me who I'd rather have, those guys or me? Me. I want me. And they were like, no. This isn't that kind of question. It's just which of these two guys do you like the more? He's like, oh, okay. But it's like, that guy is like, what a dog.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what he is.
Except he's a little shorter than Ivan Drago.
Who is it? Who isn't?
Yeah, but I think it's and across the way we have I can't remember if we put up any Iowa jokes on Twitter at all. But it's like, do y'all remember when we previewed this team in the summer? We were like, it's the worst defense Iowa's had in years. Don't know how they score any points on offense.
They're going 8-4.
They're going 8-4, and that's exactly what happened. It's like the Iowaness. I just flat think Vanderbilt's a better football team, and we'll see how it comes out if they get dragged into the muck or not.
Yeah. Well, Vanderbilt's defense is going to drag Iowa down into the muck. This will be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Big contrast of styles for sure.
You've got 2:00 New Year's Eve on
Buckle
the
up.
Citrus Bowl, Michigan and Texas.
I
wonder if there's any storylines surrounding this game.
This game being in Florida is perfect.
You're right.
It's funny, before we get into all of the Michigan stuff, I think it's fascinating that this game is so massive for both of these quarterbacks, but for totally different reasons. For Arch, it is having a big game here and getting a win would be the capper on this ridiculous season that he just pulled out of the garbage heap. The nation had left this guy for dead, and he was a punchline, and then was pretty good down the stretch, and finishing up to the point where Texas is like, I think maybe our guys figured it out, and you know what? He just wasn't ready to go, and now he kind of is ready to go. And if he torches Michigan, or even has a good game against a good defense, that's going to be a big thing. And on the other side, it's how well can Bryce Underwood position himself for any other place?
Well, I don't know that he's going to have to position himself too much. I think people are probably already knocking.
Yeah,
on his
they're
door.
that's the thing. I'm like, Bryce is like, I'm gone, and how can I? Yeah.
Well, it's probably important. I mean, we're this Michigan story is really sad. It is really sad.
It sucks on so many levels.
And especially the players. I read an interview with the Michigan interim coach, and he was talking about the players all just feel betrayed right now, and whether that's by Coach Moore, whether that's by the school, whether that's just by the situation. I mean, this is brutal. But I mean, all hell broke loose, quite literally, last week.
Well, it's funny too because like the whole piece of it, like there's a whole separate discussion of like you're just stacking scandals within the Michigan athletic department scandals at this point. But then there's the other piece where it's like so many people want to jump from that to Michigan knew about this. They let all these recruits sign, knowing they were going to fire the coach. They've been planning this out for weeks, and it just ain't what it was. It's like if you have this whole thing where everyone's telling you, I think that there's a workplace relationship going on here that is super problematic, and then you bring both of those people in, and they both emphatically deny it. There's no move at that point. If you don't have videotape or some sort of incriminating thing. So Michigan was just stuck in this doom spiral on this.
I think it's important to put a little additional context, and in case anybody hasn't read the new, Sharon Moore, the coach of Michigan, was fired for cause last weekend, out of nowhere. But out of nowhere, in that there were rumors of this as far back as Big Ten media days,
or even
at the beginning of the season. And I didn't hear any of these rumors, but this is what I've been picking up through listening to different podcasts, etc. But there's been rumors for a while, and all the reporting and kind of I'll call them testimonials maybe that have come out is that he has a real I don't know if I want to couch it as a problem or whatnot, but has clearly has some issues and has some demons, and that has presented itself as not just infidelity, but a lot of really questionable behavior, and then obviously relationship with his executive assistant, of course, as a leader, and that being a subordinate, that is an absolute no fly zone, etc. So this is a complete and total mess. And there are massive questions about who knew what when. There's so many rumors, and there's been so much leaking of this throughout the course of the season. I'll be honest, John, it's hard not to come to the conclusion that you just talked about. But
I know it's just
if there's no evidence,
that's the thing is it's from a workplace standpoint. If they don't have evidence and he's denying it to the death and she's denying it to the death, and you fire him, any lawyer worth their salt's taking his full $16.5 million buyout. He's getting that money.
Well, and then that becomes the question. If you're Michigan, and something is going on, and it's wrong, but you can't prove it, and you're you know what? We just need to fire this guy and move on. We're going to buy him out and be done with it. You're making a financial choice when you should actually be making an ethical one. And that's maybe where the rubber meets the road but there's no recourse on that for Michigan. That's just and then on top of it, that school doesn't have a president right now.
Right.
They don't have, there's nobody.
Their athletic director is on as thin ice as you can have.
Nice, yeah.
Yep. So this is, this rings, pretty familiar. In situations where the leadership is not, strong and in place, these sorts of things can become really problematic really fast. And at this point, I think Michigan could Penn State their way to a new head coach in a matter of days here, and shore things up and be in great shape, and they could be an absolute shell of themselves when the 2026 season begins, and we have no idea which way it's going to swing right now.
Yep.
How are they? I mean, we'll get into their coaching search and all that. I think there's who knows where things are. There's still so much dust that's settling around it. But just thinking ahead to 15 days, 16 days from now, in Orlando, how are they going to field a team? How do you come out and play? All this going out, everything.
I don't know. It's a physical, angry sport at times. I don't know. Having that singular focus could be helpful and useful for some guys. They might find some solace in that. I just think it is going to be damn near impossible to predict. What might happen in 16 days, and by that same token, most if not all of the big coaching spots had been settled. Like the dust had started to settle, and it was so early on. The NFL, Black Monday in the NFL hasn't happened yet. Like there's so much still to happen in the quote unquote football coaching like career cycle, et cetera, that you knew there was going to be openings and things that came up, down the road in college football. But for everything to kind of like fall into place as the Matt Campbell hire happened, and then this bombshell to drop on the heels of it, it just like swoops us right back into crazy land again.
Yeah, it's wild, and we'll obviously keep watching as everything unfolds, and maybe we'll have more news to talk about next week. But I think for now, Texas is a 7.5 point favorite in that game. It's not surprising to me at all.
No. Yeah, I mean, again, like who knows where Michigan is mentally as a football team right now? I have no idea.
Well, and don't forget, what was it, like maybe a month and a half ago, Sark's agent was floating the idea that he'd be open to NFL jobs.
Yeah,
like,
right.
So, I mean, there's...
Yeah, right. On the other side, we have Steve Sarkisian. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this is a weird matchup, and a situation only Florida could house.
Yeah. 2:30 on ESPN, New Year's Eve. You've got the Las Vegas Bowl featuring Nebraska and Utah. Utah having a coaching change of their own.
I was gonna say, yeah, Whittingham is.
But he's coaching this game, right? Or did he step down immediately?
That I'm not sure of. I don't know. I bet he. Well, I don't know. Because
just based on everything I know about Kyle Whittingham, I would just think he would be coached this game. But who knows? Maybe not. It's weird too.
The way it was phrased, like he's not retiring, he's stepping down, made it seem like, is he going for another job? Like, is there another job that he wants to go to? If that's the case, then Utah's not letting him anywhere near the sideline.
He is coaching the bowl game.
Okay, so he is. So it's funny because Stu Mandel implied that he may be considering other options, and in every other way, this felt like a retirement. So or like guy. I mean.
One of the things Stu mentioned in that post though was like his son is a coach somewhere, like almost like a Monty Kiffin kind of situation. I like that feels plausible to me. Like him going and being the head coach at Michigan just doesn't seem
And he can go to
anywhere,
media
really.
if he wants to or whatever. Like Whittingham's, that's a guy who's, if this is it for him, talk about a guy who went wire to wire and just nothing but class. And then Nebraska. I'm still getting over my shock today. My shock.
Rumors that were not surprising.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Given that his uncle has been fired and his younger brother's already put his name in the portal, none of us were exactly
just
blown away.
Decommitted.
Decommitted. Yeah. We all knew this was coming. The big surprise is that it sounds like it won't be Texas Tech that he's headed to in, complete, fulfilling the Pat Mahomes cosplay. If he wants
Pat Mahomes cosplay, he would tear his ACL.
That's what I was going to say. There was a mean-spirited yet hilarious meme making that joke on Twitter. But
what did he do? Because he's missed the last quarter of the season here.
I thought it was wasn't it broken leg? Fracture?
Like that. Yeah.
I think he had a fractured leg.
Lower body injury, like come on, we're pretty close here.
He will be a top commodity in the portal, though. We're all Raiola fans. I mean, jokes aside, like that guy's played a lot of good football for Nebraska, and he will find a home somewhere and start.
Yep, he's good.
If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients. No fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group. Compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation. And go Cats. So that takes us to the end of the Big Ten bowls, there are 3 more teams left to play in the playoff. Before we get in,
good.
Yeah, they're really good. Before we get into that, we need to talk about the Big Ten championship game, because oh my God, what an incredible game! That was so much fun to watch. Like
delivered
big time school, 2 big time program. Well, one big time program and another one is making their way in there. I mean, Indiana, they're like, oh my God, I just stumbling over words. Like that team, Kurt Signetti, holy shit.
So when we were talking about, I think Indiana's first major test this year when they were going to Oregon, and I had kind of alluded to this when we previewed them before the season, but kind of the question I asked was like, what has Indiana learned? Because they went, they played Ohio State, they played Michigan, they played in the playoff against Notre Dame last season, and they got pretty handily smoked in all 3 of those games. Actually, maybe they hung on to beat Michigan, but it was like by a thread against like the worst Michigan team that in over a decade. And the common theme was an inability to protect the quarterback. And it just decimated their offense. And I kind of asked the question, like, what did they learn from that? Have they figured out how to neutralize that kind of attack to their offense? And have they figured out how to do that on the other end? And I think the resounding answer that we got, I mean, they sacked more at Oregon 6 times. They did the same thing when they played Penn State. And then they absolutely took it to Julian Salan, who had barely been sacked all year, and they put him under pressure and on his butt over and over and over again. And it just like, I mean, we've joked about Signetti being a murder bot, and it's so obvious. Like this dude just stares down the barrel of whatever happened to him in the prior game, in the prior season, whatever, and figures out how he is going to go address it. And Indiana, I mean, like this was not a Michigan style, well, let's slow down the game and let's, pull it down into the muck and let's try to get one over on Ohio State. It's like, no, this was Indiana walking straight up to the gates of hell, throwing down the gauntlet and just landing haymakers on Ohio State and dominating them. I mean, like it was an amazing, like they didn't dominate on the scoreboard, but like,
I mean, they
when was the
dominated
last
on the
time
field.
it was just
we haven't seen a team
outstanding.
play? We haven't seen a team play Ohio State like that in a long time.
My takeaway is just like we thought. These are the 2 best teams in the country.
Yep.
They're both awesome. Indiana looked a little bit better. I'd love to see them play again. These 2 teams
Very possible.
They're so good. It's so funny too that obviously we're still, as a nation, getting over the fact that one of these 2 teams is Indiana, and that's lasted two full seasons now. As soon as you divorce yourself, the amount of raw talent between these 2 teams, the amount of high draft picks between both of these teams. Mendoza might be the number 1 pick overall. Like guys like Surratt, that guy's incredible. And of course, like all the Ohio State guys, both of these quarterbacks, you came away thinking Sayan is awesome and Mendoza's better. And it's like it decided the Heisman just like we thought it would. It was emphatic. Like by the end of this, we were like, Mendoza's going to walk away with this, and deservedly so.
And he did.
It's awesome. These 2 teams are so good. And they're so complete. I think early on in this game, there was a point where I was like, are Ohio State's wide receivers too good for Indiana's secondary? And then that kind of just went away. I mean, they are better. Ohio State's wide receivers are better than anyone's secondary. But, like, Indiana's just so good everywhere.
Well,
They're good everywhere.
I think that the schematic piece of that is Indiana plays a zone like almost exclusively, and they're very, very, very skilled at it. And Sayan has struggled to diagnose and play against zone this year, and that is very common for a young QB. It is much easier to make reads against man and figure out, especially when you've got the best wide receivers on the planet. It's a lot easier to figure out what to do and how to, like, who to attack and all that sort of stuff. And if they do play again in the playoff, it'll be really telling. Like what kind of crunch time studying has Saban been able to do to come back and can he respond, and can Ohio State respond? And that, I mean, just the opportunity for those teams to play one another again will be so fascinating.
It's wild. I mean, it's like you think of the top 5 picks of the draft. Mendoza, Smith, and Downs might all go in the top 5. In fact, there's a really good chance they will all go in the top 5. And then like Sayin and Bo Jackson, like those are two of the probably, those guys are both going to be shortlisted for the Heisman at the start of next season, right? I mean, yeah, they're these two teams. I wouldn't want to be any team that has to play either of them right now because they're both incredible. But yeah, Indiana's, and the one other thing too is so much talk about like eliminating championship games, making it all playoff focused, and I get all the arguments from that. I know from a Northwestern perspective that playing in a Big Ten championship game would mean everything to us for the same reason bowls matter, except like a lot bigger of a deal. But I mean, within that context, it's just super awesome that Indiana, whatever happens, they're Big Ten champions this season. They're Big Ten
champions. For the first time since, 1947 or something like that?
Yeah, won a Big Ten championship and their first Heisman Trophy winner ever. I mean, I'm just glad the record books will always have that.
Yeah, first number one ranking.
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about it all season. It is bananas that Cignetti has achieved this in 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So we'll get to their matchups in a little bit, but this weekend we've got the first round of playoffs, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, like I say, whinging about the Alabama, Miami, Notre Dame of it all, because like it's
at the end of the day,
9-10, like 8-9-10. It's like all
two of you
all
are
teams
lucky,
are going on the road.
Yeah, 2 of you are lucky to be in. That's the way that I look at it.
So I'm not going to whinge, but I'm going to make a case.
Sure.
And this is a case informed by the NCAA basketball tournament. You know what I hate in college playoffs? Well,
what?
Rematches.
Yeah.
In the first round, rematches are stupid. We saw Oklahoma play Alabama 3 weeks ago and beat them at their house.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing this? This is dumb.
Ole Miss,
Don't do
Tulane.
this.
Yeah.
That at least was like at the beginning of the year, but I agree with you. And there's nothing really else you can do with Tulane. They have to be in per the rules. So I like Group of 5. I like the conference. I don't know. I have less heartburn about. Like, you didn't have to have Oklahoma play Alabama. You had another team sitting right there that by like at least half of the potential metrics and comparisons, since we're supposed to be, data driven here as a committee and make intelligent decisions instead of biased ones. Like, you didn't have to set this rematch.
So what will you put Miami against Oklahoma?
No, you put Notre Dame against Oklahoma.
Notre Dame. Okay.
Why would you do this? It doesn't make any sense.
In that case, do you drop Alabama out completely?
Yes, you leave everything else the same. It's so straightforward, and again, I'm not even trying to debate the teams on the merits. Like, make the playoff entertaining for us. We already saw this effing game.
Yeah,
I bet they were worried about like you drop Alabama out and conference championship games are gone the next year.
I bet every conference champion loser has been dropped in the rankings historically. I think they were worried about their money from the SEC. But
sure.
Regardless, they made this choice, and it's fine. It'll be annoying. Alabama will probably win, and then everybody will say it's justified and blah, 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 blah. But it's stupid. Like, we just saw this game.
I was amused because, well, not amused, but Notre Dame had the national spotlight to gripe about this for one day. And then Michigan happened. And
but John, their AD has not stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
The other, this is another fascinating tidbit from that Ty Hildebrandt, Matt Fortuna conversation, because Fortuna talked about how like for 6 weeks Miami has been on a media blitz and a campaign about their case. And Alabama, PR 101, they're talking about stuff all the time. Notre Dame did not do any politicking. They did not do any pressuring in the media or otherwise. Like, just like Marcus Freeman was on the Today Show, like the week leading up to the selection show. They just didn't. It was almost like they were scared to talk about. I found that like a really fascinating observation. And then at the same time, I'm like, we're supposed to be better. Like this is not supposed we're supposed to be better than the politicking and the crap that's gone on in the past. So the whole reason we designed a playoff to avoid this stuff. And I agree with you. Like we're talking about 8, 9, and 10. So or 7, 8, 8, 9, and 10. So it doesn't really matter at the end of it. But I'm just pissed we have to watch a game that we already saw.
Sure.
Yeah.
That wasn't that good of a game to begin with.
Yeah. So that game's on Friday, this upcoming Friday. Alabama at Oklahoma. That's the 8-9 matchup. Alabama is a 1.5 point road favorite here. Over under 40.5.
It's like it is interesting, and the fact that it's at Oklahoma. I mean, it's a huge game for the Sooners. I mean, we've had this talk about like the ADs and everything. I mean, Oklahoma's the big winner here. I mean, it's a massive game for them as the 8 seed to be able to have this as a bonus game on top of their season is a huge deal. But everything that Scuzz said is still true.
You got on Saturday at 11, Miami at Texas A&M. A&M is a 3-point home favorite. It's wild. A&M loses one game and
Right.
they drop down to the 7.
Right.
Were they that fragile of a team that one loss drops them that far?
I know. They didn't go into the tank like Miami did for a brief stretch there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting game. And I mean, Miami, it's like congrats that you're in. Now you're going to Kyle Field to play a team with one loss.
Sam, it's almost like they're making it up as they go along.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm sure that's all done though, Scuzz. I think we're set in stone now. It'll all stay just like this.
Please no.
2:30. You've got Tulane at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 17.5 point home favorite. Obviously, the whole Lane Kiffin of it all. But you know what? Tip your hat to Tulane. They got in there. We saw them at the beginning of the year, and we thought. I think going in, we were like, this could be a playoff team, and here they are, 11-2 on the year. Solid Tulane team.
They have that monstrous blemish to UTSA, but that kind of runs in the face of most of what they've done the rest of the season. Like they won their conference, they did what they needed to do. They've got Retzlaff, who is always just like a fun X factor. But it's funny, like what more?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what more could have happened though to this Ole Miss football team following the Egg Bowl, and they're still 17.5 point favorites here. Like that's because they already thumped this team once.
Yeah.
To everything Scuzz's point.
And that was in week 3. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Ole Miss, Miami, A&M, Tulane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who says no? Like again,
Yeah, right.
Stop it with let's avoid rematches. We purposely bump teams on seed lines all the time in the NCAA basketball tournament to avoid rematches.
Yeah. It is funny. And just like the NCAA thing, like these two, it's like 39 point combined dogs with the Tulane game and then the game, Sam will mention in a second. But it's like there will be the before and the after of when one of these low seeds finally pulls the big upset, but it hasn't happened yet. And it's like in the NCAA tournament, we could all cite a million of these, but the college football playoff hasn't yielded anything close to that yet. They've all just been crushed.
We're only in the second year of the 12-teamer.
Right,
so
right. Small sample size, but emphatic sample size so far.
I think we all know it's going to 16 in the next 3 years. What do you think?
Yeah.
Probably.
All the home teams won last year in the first round, correct?
Yes, all the home teams won last year. And then all of those teams went on and won the next week.
Next week too, yep.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, 6:30 on Saturday evening, James Madison at Oregon. Oregon, a 21.5 point home favorite. Great story about James Madison. Like that's an awesome story. 12-1. Congratulations.
All I want to know.
Enjoy your trip to Oregon.
All I want to know is if Kurt Signetti is moonlighting for James Madison this week.
I was about to say, Kurt Signetti's new team went into Oregon and won this season. Can his old team do the same thing?
Did he pick up the phone?
Are the Signetti
passing
vibes,
some ideas?
Are the Signetti vibes that strong that he can just on the contrails of Signetti, they could go in and do this? I'm going to lean with a big no.
Probably not. Probably not.
And like their coach is going to be the UCLA coach, and UCLA is like, yeah, go ahead and coach JMU in the playoff. But he's gonna get a taste of what it's like to play Oregon year in and year out, because he's joining the Big Ten.
You want to say the vibes and all this stuff and great coach, etc. And hey, that this is the 12-5, per NCAA tournament. I think Oregon's going to obliterate them. Like Oregon is you can really easily talk me into that they're the number 3 team in the country. I mean, Georgia's got a great argument, but Oregon they're unreal, and they're not top 2 because Ohio State and Indiana are in their conference. I think they're going to handle their business here.
It's funny because Sam, you made that comment about A&M being so fragile, and then John, like, you're right, Oregon is exceptional and is very, very much right on the cusp of that top tier. But like, Georgia has looked better and better and better and better as the season has gone on. I might add that not only did they beat Alabama, but they absolutely dominated them in the SEC championship. And then Texas Tech has been exceptional.
Yeah,
I know.
So like we have like the top 4. It's interesting. The big change this year versus last year was instead of the top 4 being conference champs, it's about top 4 seeds, and it would be quite shocking for all the first round home teams to win again next round.
Yeah, it is funny. You made me think. On the old system of semifinal, final, they would have had to make that Oregon-Texas Tech decision, and that would have been a hard decision. And
I feel like there'd be a lot more whinging over that than
100%.
Bama, Notre Dame.
I feel like it would end with
Miami.
Oregon getting in and the Big 12 absolutely livid. And in that way, this situation is much better.
Yeah.
So then you got your top 4 teams. Ohio State will be playing as the 2 seed at the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Eve. That would be the winner of – who do they get? Winner of
Miami A&M, right?
Miami A&M. Is that right? 7-10?
Yep.
Yeah. So winner of Miami A&M plays Ohio State at the Cotton Bowl. You've got the Orange Bowl. 11 a.m. on New Year's Day, ESPN. Texas Tech versus, is that
Alabama,
JMU, Oregon?
Oklahoma, or no?
They're the 4 seed. They get Oregon.
Oregon, James Madison. Okay. You've got Indiana at the Rose Bowl, 3:00. Obviously, the Rose Bowl is the Big Ten team. Watch the sunset over the mountains, as everyone loves. They will be awaiting the winner of Bama, Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
And then Georgia at the Sugar Bowl will be taking on the winner of Tulane, Ole Miss.
Another reason to have it be
Did they play
Tulane and A&M. No, I think they did, right? Didn't Georgia and Ole Miss play?
I feel like I should know.
Yeah,
this.
they sure did. That was Ole Miss's only loss.
Oh, okay.
Again, just stupid. Why are we so stupid?
Because we don't want people's feelings hurt by having. Well, what it is they don't want people's feelings hurt, and they want to have their weekly show to get ratings and to get people talking. And
I don't think they give any. I don't think they could not care less about anybody's feelings. It is just all about
a lot of money.
Yeah, of course it's all about money. But like, if they wanted to do it right, you don't have that show. You don't rate Notre Dame ahead of Miami all the way, even though Miami beat Notre Dame week 1, and then without either team playing, you flip flop them at the end to drop Notre Dame out.
If you want to do it right, you don't have a committee at all.
Yeah. Well, What do you do?
Computers.
We
Data?
did that. We
know.
tried that. No one liked it.
It was better.
Of course,
Just saying it was better.
We can AI slop this. I think that's the hand it over to the robots.
Dude, I'll make an agent. Hell yeah, let's go. Somebody probably already has. Yeah. I mean, regardless, like last year's playoff was incredibly entertaining.
It was a lot of fun.
And I think this one will also likely be incredibly entertaining. Stupid rematches notwithstanding, like whatever. But
I mean, stupid rematches. But if all goes to chalk, we get a rematch, number 1 versus number 2.
That I'm okay with. A rematch in the championship game, like, I can live with that. When it's based on a playoff. I mean, we've had rematches in the championship game that played, during the regular season in the past. So that's nothing new. I just like, it's an imperfect sport and it's an imperfect process, and that's like part of the beauty of college football.
Well, we will definitely be watching the games this weekend. Like bowl season kind of getting going. We didn't go through all of the bowls because that's just a lot of them, and if there's anything worth mentioning,
I haven't even looked at the rest of them. I don't even know who's playing whom.
Yeah, I mean, we got what Tuesday night, Troy versus Jacksonville State. Okay,
my only thing is the Pop-Tart Bowl. I think it's I don't like that Notre Dame potentially opted out of the Pop-Tart Bowl, but I get how their Catholic leadership could have a problem with ritual sacrifice.
And
pagan idols.
Resurrection. The resurrection of the Pop-Tart.
There's the resurrection of the Pop-Tart. That's true. There's there's the body in there. Look, if Pop-Tarts were, communion, we can improve it. More frosting. Sounds great. Yeah. Sure.
Oh boy.
Before this thing spirals off completely into the abyss, let's talk some hoops.
Yeah.
We had Northwestern men's basketball. I think when last we spoke, we were just about to go into our little Big Ten, early Big Ten, rounds in December. It did not go well.
No,
it did not.
Yeah, I think it's funny too. We talked about this coming off the top, and this kind of malaise that is sort of hanging out there in Northwestern sports right now. And it's not like, again, it's not like this super awful thing or anything, but it's just kind of there and it's kind of palpable, and there are a bunch of little contributors, and kind of where hoops is right now is a contributing factor. And it's kind of interesting too, because we were all, between football and everything else we have going on in our lives, I was laughing because I was like, I forget if it was Scuzz or Sam. I think it was Scuzz. You had put up some tweets watching one of the halves of one of these games. I don't know if it was Ohio State or Wisconsin.
it was the first half of Wisconsin. I was kind of watching.
Mad about the
refs were being crazy, and then someone pinged us, was like, "Did you guys get so mad you stopped tweeting?"
Yeah, and you were like, "No, I have my kids are all doing different stuff, and there's different stuff," and it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on right now, and I think there's a lot of you between that and everything with football. This always happens with hoops, where you're always trying to make that transition and everything. We're all kind of trying to lock in, and there are people in Northwestern Nation and a lot of people we know who've watched a lot more of this team than we have, and we've watched a bunch, but there are people who've watched every single game. And one of the things that
those people have Peacock.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things that kind of caught me by surprise a little bit is there's definitely a lot of consternation relative to this team, where some of the people, some people are really I don't know, angry, but just man, this team isn't defending the way I'm used to defending, and I don't like the way things aren't coming together, and et cetera. And it's I'm not taking issue with that or one way or the other. It's just interesting for a team that obviously is coming off this run of success, has all these exciting new players, and has played in some really close games. But at the same time, the defensive struggles are the defensive struggles. I mean, it's this team's giving up a lot. That Wisconsin game was never close. And for a team that's really kind of been built on defense for the past couple of years, I think it's kind of jarring for people. And between that and some of the things, obviously, a lot of these new pieces coming together, and you've got, I guess, like a player like Jaden Reed kind of is a big example of this, where this guy's obviously such a dynamic player and such like an electric player, and an electric player at a position we did not have last year. A player who's capable of playing awesome defense, a player who is, your biggest transition weapon, a player who can create offense going to the rack in a situation where you don't. And then at the same time, you can also see that a lot of times when he's running point, like sometimes the offense, sometimes, taking like an NBA three when like there was more offense to be initiated, or even lapses on the defensive end, and factoring in the fact that he's not a big guard, and at the Big Ten level, like there are definitely guards who are looking to go at him because of his size at this point. And it's just fascinating because like that's at the same point, that's a guy who's made so many of our biggest plays so far this season, and it's new, and it's just interesting because it's like you have a player who's in such a massive role, who came out of the portal immediately, and then just seeing, people being like, oh, I'm like expecting more of him right now, or I'm frustrated this or frustrated this. And not to hang it all on Reed, I think this is just the team as a whole feels this way. You got all these new guys playing, you new guys coming in from the recruiting class, new guys coming in through the portal. Paige is obviously a big part of this too. Like that guy is clearly a phenomenally talented basketball player. He is also a guy who is like, we'll take that Luke Hunger three where you're like, no. Why is that happening? You're a 25% 3-point shooter. Like, do not take that shot, right? And it's a lot of that. And a team, yeah.
Well, I think some of it is like the staff's going to take some time to get used to the new guys and figure things out. And it's, there's always a little bit of like is this a slow start? Are they bad, et cetera? But like, it kind of comes back to, I mean, you talked about like expectations. We say this all the time when we're talking about football, like identity and culture. The identity and culture of Northwestern basketball for as many years as we can remember in the Chris Collins era has been defense first. That is what has brought the success of the last.
Certainly of the Chris Lowry era, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was like that first year when they so unexpectedly made the tournament. It was Lowry's hire and like the total transformation on D, particularly around the perimeter. And we knew, I mean, we talked about this weeks ago when we previewed the team. We knew that this was going to be a different character of team. They do not have the size on the front line to bang bodies. They're a much faster, more dynamic offensive team. You can see that in the scoring that Northwestern is putting up. But at this state, they lost a really tight game to Virginia. Then they lost a really tight game to Oklahoma State. They got, blown out by Wisconsin at Wisconsin. You can kind of get your head around that, understand that. And then they come back and again, another really tight game against Ohio State, a game that Northwestern, they had the lead, and it goes away down the stretch because we can't get a stop. And then we, lose the ability to score buckets, et cetera. And so the malaise I feel like is probably more centered on the buildup of these 4 losses. It looks different from what we're used to. And on top of that, other than Nicky Buckets and, obviously there's, more than just him, like supporting cast, and whether it's Chervino or Clayton or Wyndham, et cetera, there's some familiar faces, but the main 3, 2 of them are new, and I think people are just having a hard time getting their head around it. So will this repair itself as we get into the actual Big Ten season, or is this going to be like a real rough kind of year? I don't know that we know that yet, but man, it's going to get real really fast.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like one of the weird things is having watched this much, like I can look and be like, well, I obviously can see like what our best offense is. Obviously, Buckets and Page are generating like. They're the offense. Those are 2 of the hardest post players to handle in the conference right now. Page has been like a revelation at times on the offensive end. Buckets is Buckets. It will never stop being amazing. He's
shooting almost 70% from 3.
He's shooting almost 70% from 3. He can get the most awkward shots from either hand at any time, and they always go in. He's everything. We know everything that he is. He's incredible. But Page is just an athletic marvel for a guy that size. And with those two guys able to work in the low block theoretically at the same time, it's easy. And then, kind of juxtaposed with Reed, and I don't mean to juxtapose them, but it's like Jake West is obviously like a big time future guy for us at point guard. Like he came in as a really big recruit. He's got great size. You can see he handles the ball really well. And you can just see he shoots well from the outside. And you can see he just is great at initiating the offense. And Max Green is obviously our sharpshooter, our Langborg closest to guy right there. And you're like, all right, well, you put shooters around your awesome post players. You're constantly trying to get one of those post players positioned in the paint. You work the ball around. You get it into those guys. If you can kick out for threes, great. That all makes sense on paper. In reality, Page gets in foul trouble a lot. And, some of these times, like just to take the Jackson State game as a point of reference, he didn't play for like most of the first half because he got quick fouls. And Green and West are not your two best defensive options right now. Guys like Clayton, are just a better defensive basketball player at this point. And Justin Mullins, same kind of thing. And it's like, so you have these disparate pieces. And Reed, again, it's like this team, we're one of like the leading transition bucket teams in the Big Ten right now. And Reed is obviously a massive piece of that. And it's like, so how do you make all this work? Right. How do you put all these pieces together and find something? And yeah, like hopefully there will be, we get back into conference play, or maybe, whether it's Butler or whether it's, a big game, a big win to start conference play. Hopefully this team will find the spark that kind of crystallizes this.
Hey, speaking of Butler, I will be at that Butler game
Nice.
with at least one of my children. There's a small possibility I might have an extra ticket if anyone is keen. But yeah, looking forward to going and taking in the Indy Classic, and I imagine that those of us in purple will be outnumbered by those in gray or blue or whatever Butler wears these days. But still excited. When the team is playing within an hour and a half of my home, I feel like I'm obliged to go. So I'm looking forward to this.
Is that game at Hinkle or is that at the Pacers Arena?
Pacers Arena.
Okay.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, the quote unquote neutral site, but
sure,
that
very neutral, totally neutral.
The one thing, and Sam, I forget if you mentioned it off the top or not, but Chris Collins got his 200th win against Jackson State. So
absolutely.
that's a big one. I mean, again, like this is the best Northwestern basketball coach ever. There's not really any question about that now. And it's a big milestone for him. Obviously, I mean, Jackson State's awful. They're 1-9 now. They were never in this game. They looked like a horrible basketball team in this game. I don't think we learned much or could get pointed in the right direction based off this game. It's a win. It was a good win to have, and it's good to get that 200th win in the books for Collins. So that's good. And again, hopefully now they can catch fire. That Butler game would be a great place to start.
And we have Valpo on Tuesday night, 7:00 on Peacock.
Back-to-back Peacock games coming. Super.
Yeah, great. Well,
great.
Yeah, just got to time out your free 7-day trial run.
How many email addresses can you create on Google?
Yeah, right, exactly.
10 slots maybe.
Yeah. So anything else to mention? I mean, Valpo, Butler, and then we finish off the year with a home game against Howard.
So one other thing, this was like a brief soapbox moment for this. I was thinking about this earlier. I think Northwestern Hoops has backed themselves into a corner by not accepting the NIT bid last year, and by letting it hang out there that they may not accept an NIT bid in the future. And just juxtaposing it with football right now, making the tournament is so much harder than making a bowl game. And yes, we've made 2 of the last 3 tournaments, but you're positioning the fan base such that if the fan base thinks that it's tourney or bust for this team, then the fan base is going to ride or die. Like a stretch like that Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, and Ohio State series, a ton of people in the fan base are going to be like, oh my God, that was brutal for our tourney chances. And it's like, why make the target so small to hit?
Yeah.
You can push just as hard for the tournament and still be fans like, and you know what? If it's NIT, it's NIT, and we can make some damage in the NIT. I just like,
I'm gonna push back on you on that. I think it's okay to have the go, like you don't want to have the safety net, right? Like
I guess.
if it comes, sure, you take it, you go, but like you don't want to be satisfied with that. You want your fans to say, "Hey, that was a rough go. We need to do better." Like,
well, that's true.
We expect more. I think
you're right.
I think that's an okay mindset to have, but then at the end, it's like I get. You're disappointed you don't make the tournament. Yeah, you should be disappointed you don't make the tournament. But, there's nothing wrong with go play in the NIT.
Right. Like I would have loved to see
unless you're like everyone's so hurt that it's a problem. Like I know we were real banged up at the end of last year.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, and we'll see. We'll see what happens this season. And maybe last season was like a one-off situation. I just don't want us to get locked into the situation where, again, like if we weren't able to bowl at 6-6, I think that would really color people's opinions of.
Well, we would have bowled at 5-7 this year.
Right? No, I know. So it's like it's nice to have that capper at the end. But again, that's my little soapbox. But I do get Sam's point. I mean, again, obviously this team's pushing for a tourney berth all the time under Collins now. Like that's the goal. There's no doubt about that.
It is, but I also the Wikipedia page doesn't show me NIT berths, but there haven't been that many.
Four of Carmody's last 5 years we went, and then I don't think we never went under Collins. I don't believe, right? I don't think we did not.
I don't think so. Yeah,
but I don't think we
went once under. Oh my God, who was the crazy guy? O'Neill, thank you. I wanted to say Kevin Wilson. I was like, it's a different vulgar Kevin.
Different Kevin. I can't believe you got Kevin O'Neill into this conversation.
So I get I guess it's a valid question to maybe ask the fan base of do you want us to go to the NIT? I think there's Northwestern writ large struggles with bites at the apple and getting themselves out there, and this was notable. I think it's come up with social media. We've heard this from some folks close to the program, et cetera. There's not as much presence, and some of that is that Northwestern's just a smaller school, a smaller fan base. It doesn't have the same reach of a lot of other places. It has a lot of other priorities and focuses, et cetera. But it does feel like a missed opportunity. It's like free market. This is free marketing. Well, it's not free marketing because you have to pay to send the team and the cheerleaders and the band and everything else. So there's a financial calculus here, but let's be honest. We are not cash strapped as a university.
No.
There continues to be, we've come so far from the dark ages and the 70s, et cetera, but there is still and we talked about it last year with the temporary stadium and the quote needing to pay for itself nonsense. Understand what sports does for your school and your fan base and your pride and your alumni association. It is a useful tool, and Northwestern just seems it's always an afterthought. And this is another example.
Hopefully, hopefully that will, again, may we go on a crazy run now and may we turn this into a tourney team. But if we don't and we have a winning record, I'd love to see this young squad of guys playing tourney basketball.
Hey, you know who else I bet would be hey guys, WTF, go play in the NIT. President Beenan. I think President Beenan would put his foot down. Yeah. Get your ass out there.
Let's go. Yeah, President Beenan, there were no NIT berths when I was.
There was one. Wasn't he there in '98?
Yeah,
or '99.
That's true.
But that was it. And he brought in Carmody to change the equation, and then I think he had left before Carmody, hit that first pay dirt. So,
right. Here's hoping.
Anything else to mention before we get out of here tonight, guys?
I don't think other than again, we'll come back next week and give the CMU game a proper preview. But I mean, my early read is, I want our team to be angry and I want them to thump this team. That would do a lot to just that would give a spark to this fan base and just give us something.
Absolutely.
It is early to get too excited about this, but the early returns on transfers out of Northwestern is notable to me. I think in 04 by this point, or 20, I always do that. In 24 by this point, we had already had a handful of folks out. In 23, we'd already had a handful of folks out. I think about like Josh Preeb as an example. And whether guys just haven't decided yet, whether it's about finals, whether it's about, maybe guys don't want to
wait till after the bowl game.
After the bowl game, I forget what the timing is of how long the portal window is open, et cetera. But
it's like January 2nd is when it opens, I think.
Yes, so I guess people have plenty of time. I think it is a meaningful metric of success for the way the program is engaging and treating the student athletes that we have seen. We have not seen the type of exodus that has been true at a lot of other places, including places that have had quote unquote successful seasons or going to bowls, all that sort of stuff. And that is, that's notable. And I like, it's, Northwestern, not just through Braun, but this was a mantra of Fitz as well. Like, Northwestern is not a program that's going to be able to operate through the portal alone. We have to recruit and develop talent at this school to be successful. And so that, like, this is again a very meaningful success metric for Northwestern to see this playing out this way thus far. Now, I'm not going to count any chickens till we get there, but like the fact that it's December 16th, they're practicing for the bowl game, etc. Like, this is a positive sign.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlawnpirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, at Westlaw Pirates, and you can always email us, westlawnpirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics. And look for us in the west lot of Ryan Field flying the red pirate flag, because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scasbo, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.